Let me tell you that a lot of families really have some intense struggles around chores. Depending on the struggles that you already have in your family, the chore struggles might be right at the top and be very, very intense. I've heard everything from, it doesn't work to have a chore chart, the kids don't do it, they don't do it well enough. Parents try to reward, they try to bribe, like all of it, right? And sometimes something that works for a while stops working. And honestly, you're not alone. A lot of parents are very, very frustrated with chores. And I think that we have this, idea that the kid is supposed to do this. Like that's what good parents do, is they make their kids do chores. And I want to talk to you about that today. I want to talk about why the chore charts often fail, especially for kids that struggle with executive functioning, and what actually helps kids to learn responsibility and to be more motivated and even more compliant about it. And this may come against everything that you believe about it, but I just challenge you to try some of these things. So most parents think that chores is about obedience and maybe a little bit about skill, but it really does have to do with executive functioning skills. If your child is really lacking in the ability to be able to focus, they also are probably lacking in task initiations. That's why they can walk over something that is on the floor 1,000 times and not see it. And you're feeling like, why do I always have to pick this up? That sustained attention to finish a task can really get in the way. But I also want to talk to you about what I think is kind of one of the real problems about chores is we want our kids to be motivated. Like we want them to want to feel it, right? Like you should want to help take care of this house because you live here. And I like to just kind of do away with that. Like who cares how they feel about it, right? I mean, we don't have to talk them into it. And I think more importantly is how you feel about it. So I recommend that you make a list of all of the things that you feel is important to have done every day. And it may include, feeding the dog or, whatever it is, whatever you feel like is important to be done every day. And then things that need to be done every week. And you could even add some special extra chores. I would put that in a separate list. Those are more projects, like maybe a monthly project, or maybe, every few months you need to clean the pantry or the refrigerator or something like that. But what are some of the daily and weekly chores? And I want you to look at that list that you made, not a chore chart, but a list, and just think about what are the things that you would do even if you didn't have these kids in your house. Like, are you the kind of person that would put things away? Are you the kind of person that would vacuum, would mop? I know a lot of parents feel frustrated because they feel like their house is dirty because they have kids. And I'm here to tell you that that is a lie. It does not have to be this way. Yes, you're going to have more. Like I have a dog. I've had dogs and kids, and we have horses, so we live out. There's more dirt coming in the more people that you have. But your house doesn't have to be dirty. It doesn't have to be cluttered just because you have kids. Everything can have a place, and you may realize okay, we have too much stuff. Or you can have places where these things go that are out of sight. But you yourself may be somebody that's like, well, I didn't really want to put it away because I might use it later. And maybe you pile things up on your own. It's legit, right? Some of us kind of like to have everything out, and we want to see those things. And I've been in other homes where, honestly, they're mad about the mess in the kids' room, but the whole house is like that. And that may be you too. Maybe you are a piler and a stacker, and and don't put things away, and you're fine with that. So don't think that it's just because you have kids. I've been in people's homes where they don't have kids at all, and they still have things all over the counter and everything. I am not a professional organizer, but I know some really great ones. So if you want to know a good organizer, look it up in your area, because that is totally worth it, I think, if that's bothering you about yourself. But when you look at this list of chores that you have made, I want you to, again, think about the things that you want done. And I think that is so helpful, because when you realize that you want things vacuumed, that you want the kitchen floor mopped, or you want things dusted, and that those are things that you would do in your house, whether you had kids or not. It's just takes a little bit of pressure off of you don't need the kids to do these things. Now, I am not saying that they shouldn't do these things. I'm just saying you don't need them to do it. I had a family that was fighting over chores in the morning before school, which is not always the best time to try to do chores. But it had to do with the dog getting fed. It's well, it's their job in the morning to feed the dog. And it wasn't working. It was causing a half an hour or more of discord and arguing and almost meltdowns about the dog, something that would take a very short amount of time. But it's what is the main goal here? And I asked them, would you have this dog if you didn't have kids? When this child leaves, and he was 17 or 18, it's when this child leaves, are you getting rid of the dog? Oh, no, we love the dog. I'm okay, then you feed the dog. Just feed the dog in the morning, and we can talk about other routines in the afternoon and where people can help. But we have to first kind of deal with the tension of it. It's the dog is the family's dog, and you're going to keep this dog after. Now, later when they move out, if they want to have a pet and they're not going to feed it, that's going to be on them. But you will be surprised when your kids have learned how to do all these things, how they will know how to do these things and be able to take care of their house. It's just they don't want to do it for you. So we're taking some of that pressure off, looking at the things that we want done. And also be really honest with yourself. There's times when it's okay to have somebody just run the vacuum through the living room. I'm big on vacuuming because of what I said before: kids, dogs, horses, dirt, But there's other times when I want it vacuumed a certain way. And in that instance, I can either teach this child how I want it done. Hey, we're going to follow a pattern. I want you to do it like this. And then it's a training, and we're kind of doing it together. Or if they've already been taught that, I might be able to say hey, instead of a quick vacuum today, I really need it done well because we're doing it this way. Or I can say, I'm going to vacuum today because this matters to me, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it out, and you can vacuum this area, maybe this part that doesn't matter as much. So you're building a working relationship around it. You're showing that it really is about what you want and not what you need. And it kind of takes some of the pressure off of the kids, because I've seen kids go really slow doing chores or doing them halfway because they don't want to have to do more for you. And they don't need to care about it the same way you do. There are times when I know that I care about what it looks like more than anybody else in the house, and that's okay. I would do that whether I have people there or not. And so I can just do that. And there's also other things that we are teaching the kids. So if your kids really struggle with just task initiation, they're not going to just see what needs to be done, because that's not their concern. They don't walk into the house and go, oh wow, the floor is really dirty, I should vacuum today. Or so-and-so's coming over, I wonder what they're going to say about the floors. That is our thought process. And sometimes we want the kids to have that thought process, but it's not. But instead we can say hey, we're going to have company, so we're all going to work together, and here's, they can check off the things that they're going to do on your list of things that you want done. And maybe you say, okay, pick 2 things that you're going to do, and I'm going to pick 2 things that I'm going to do, but we're going to get this spruced up for company. Or, we used to do this thing on Saturdays where I had kind of the list of the things that I wanted done that day. And sometimes if it was something I wanted done really well, I would pick my 3 things, and then the other kids would pick 3 things. And they were at a level where we could all be working on chores and they would do that. Now with your kids that lose themselves in it, like they go to their room and then they get more of a mess made. With my son, I couldn't do this the same way. I had a son that had a lot of different executive functioning skills that had to be built. So we had some teachable times when I was like teaching him how I wanted the bathroom done or how I wanted the counters done. But then there were other times when it's like, let's do it together. Like you do this part of the counter and I'm going to do this part. So just changing from the sending them to do something. There's some kids that can do that if they've been taught and they're fine with it. But I have found across the board that chores, like projects that we need to get done, it's really, really challenging when you have kids that are not motivated and they don't want to do it. And they might be moody teenagers, or, it's like they don't see the purpose in what we're doing. To just give them a list to have them done, unless there's some kind of incentive to it. Like, hey, before you can do this, this has to be done. And then you get to decide like how much it matters to you, how well it's done. Because if it's never done to your expectation, then you might have to really look at what your expectation is, what it is that you wanted out of that, and did you make that clear? Like, there was definitely a different way that we cleaned when someone was coming over versus just kind of the daily or weekly kind of wiping things down. And I think it's important for them to know both ways, and it's okay for me to be okay with both ways. And if I notice that something isn't getting done, the counters are only getting, parts of it done, then I may say, okay, this Saturday, we're going to do this together and we're going to, take everything off and really clean the area. So you do this part, I'm going to do this part. And then we're in this together. It's more of a project. And that reminds me of another thing that I think is really important to just consider. How we talk about this, like even the idea of like, okay, when we get home, we all have to do our chores, is so different than if we just are like, hey, when we get home, we're going to clean some things up. We're going to, do a little bit of this before we have dinner. Like, it's just a whole different mindset. Like I don't, with my kids, I raised 6 kids, and we just we did these things together. I didn't even call it a chore list. It was like, these are the jobs that have to be done, or this is the cleaning stuff that I want done. And sometimes I would mark stuff off, like I don't care about this today, but these are the areas of focus. And then they would choose, and they could do that. Or if I had a child that was struggling, it's like, you and I are going to work on this together while these other kids are doing this. And when we're working together with our kids, we're going to take all the pressure off. Like they can just, it's like, you just need to be by me if you don't want to help. We're not forcing them to help. Sometimes we can wait. It's like, I can't get my thing done till you do your thing. But just really watch how much you're trying to make them feel a certain way about it. What we want them to feel is like we're doing this together, and the helpfulness will increase. And this is the last thing that I want to say about this. You totally can start this really, really young. Kids, when they're really young, when they're toddlers, they want to help. They really want to be helpful. And so you can give them things to do. They can put the spoons away, or they can put something in the dishwasher, or some things, right? They can dust things at their level. They start to learn, like, this is just something we do together. Like, this is part of living in the house. Like I used to homeschool my kids when they were all small. And so every time before we started another activity, lunch, or, left for the afternoon, or whatever it was we were going to do, we would do, we had a quick cleanup. And so we would make it a game, and we would just like, okay, everybody help. And of course, there's always, some kids like flopping around, maybe not helping. But it wasn't so set up that the other kids were like, oh, they didn't do anything. It was like, we're all doing stuff. And there's times when I do stuff for you that I didn't create. Like, I might clean up a mess that you did. So it's none of this like, well, that's not my plate, I'm not washing it. It's like, this is what we're doing. We're cleaning up the kitchen. So we're all having a part of something that is just part of what we do. I think it works so much better than chore charts. And it helps to develop this sense of like, this is part of being a family. This is just what we do together. And it's never too late to turn it around. So I work with a lot of families that have teenagers. They've done it differently all this way. And then when their kids hit the teen years, it's like all of a sudden they forgot how to empty the trash, or they have a big problem with feeding the dog, So it's being flexible and realizing that what we're teaching, like once they know how to do the chore, then we're not so worried about that they're not doing it correctly. We don't have to be the overseer of it. I did not like having to go back and check on stuff, because then it's like, what are you going to do? We're not heaping more on top of them. If I go back and check and it's like not quite done the way I want it, I might have a little leeway with some of your, my kids that were maybe more congenial, compliant, to be able to say like that looks really good, but did you get behind the toilet, and then maybe, oh no, I forgot that. Other kids, it might be like, that's great. I'm going to just do this one part right here. And they're watching and they're learning, this is the thing that's so wonderful about it. As you create this in your family, this more of this cooperative spirit about it, you will find that your kids do start to do this stuff on their own. And especially your kids that are more, maybe they are more organized or they like things cleaner. They kind of will take the initiative on doing some of that. I remember one of my kids, more than one I think, but they would sometimes text me if I was out doing something. They're like, hey, well, you're gone. If I do everything on this list, or if I do this one thing on this list, like, can I make some extra money? Or, they would kind of initiate doing that in a way that I think that kids that struggle more with executive functioning, or they feel like it's not my job, it's not my week to do that, really don't see the need. When we have things on a chart and it's just what they have to do, they're not tying it in with part of it. Like we have to clean the table off before we can play games is so much better than like, oh, whose job is it to clean the table? Well, I guess we can't play a game, and they weren't going to play the game anyway, or whatever. It's like they just don't see the tie-in. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, if you totally disagree, feel free to leave your comments and to ask those questions. If you would like a free guide, a free parenting guide, you can, I'm going to have that in the description, but you can also just type in guide and I will send that to you. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you later.